Chapter 78. Enemies that kept appearing. A group of more than 20 people walked towards the east of West Star City in a grandiose manner, attracting a lot of attention on the street. However, no one was surprised. A few days ago, Suo Quan had released the news of recruitment. Now that such a huge group had appeared, no one had any doubts about it. The transportation array of West Star City was located on a plain in the east side of the city. As one of the most important transportation hub in West Star County, there would naturally be an army stationed there. The Tianmu Prefecture in Xixing County was not the same as the Wuning Prefecture. The two prefectures were adjacent to each other. There were still several small cities and a vast sea of trees between the two prefectures. If one did not use the transportation array, it would take at least 3 months to travel. As for the transportation array, it would save them all this time. In order to lighten the atmosphere, Suo Quan spoke frankly. He told Xiao Yan everything he knew. Although these things were useless to most people, they were very interesting to Xiao Yan. The so-called transportation array was a kind of formation. This kind of formation could only be created by formation masters. Formation masters were an existence that was even rarer than alchemists. The creation of every formation. Therefore, whether one had sufficient energy and sufficient origin monarch key was the basic standard for array masters. This also caused every array master to have to be a cultivation genius. Similarly, his soul strength must also be far beyond ordinary people. Only in this way could he be able to control the operation and formation of the array agilely. Furthermore, the lowest requirement to become an array master was to have an emperor cultivation base. When Suo Quan said this, Xiao Yan's face couldn't help but tremble. At the same time, he heard the exclamations from the surrounding people. Obviously, everyone was shocked. Their current strength was merely that of an emperor master and sovereign master, above them were monarch spirit, emperor, and monarch emperor. The emperor cultivation above the monarch emperor was already an overlord of a region, but this kind of strength was actually the prerequisite to becoming a formation master. Hearing the exclamations of the crowd, Suo Quan's heart seemed to have been satisfied. He proudly nodded his head, sorted out his thoughts, and began to speak like a river. It was precisely because of the scarcity of array masters. They could be said to be the most lucrative profession in the great world. The transportation array could be said to be one of the lowest level of all array formations, but even so, in some large auction houses, the price of a single array formation was at least 500 million monarch crystals, which was comparable to the price of some saint-grade monarch crystals. 500 million monarch crystals. Hearing this, the crowd could no longer calm down. For a moment, they could hear the sound of people inhaling cold air, especially some local sovereign masters who were cultivating alone in the great world. They did not have the natural talent and disposition to advance to the fighting monarch realm in the lower realm, nor did they have the cultivation resources of the local disciples. They could only rely on their own hard work. When they were fighting for hundreds or thousands of monarch crystals, a low-level array formation casually created by those array masters would cost at least 500 million monarch crystals. Although the two of them could not be compared, the difference was indeed quite great. Xiao Yan was also speechless when he heard this. In his heart, he also had some yearning and curiosity towards that so-called array master. Zhou Yuan, who was in front of him, didn't show any change in expression when he heard Suo Quan talking about the array master. When he heard the words saint-grade monarch skill coming out of Suo Quan's mouth, a rare glint flashed in Zhou Yuan's eyes. He looked at Suo Quan, who was still talking without leaving any trace. The corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a cold smile that no one noticed. About half a day later, the group finally walked out of the bustling area and came to a vast plain. Although there weren't as many people as in the city, compared to the city, there was more order here. The city guards that maintained order could be seen everywhere. Everyone's strength had reached the level of an emperor master. Wearing black armor, their cold eyes swept back and forth between the crowds. Under Suo Quan's command, everyone came to the transportation array, which was used to transport large groups. While Suo Quan was paying the fee, Xiao Yan, like the others, looked around curiously. There were a total of 5 transportation array on this plane. 4 of them were specially used to teleport single persons. Each transportation array was guarded by a powerful leader of city guards. Around them were nearly 10 fully armed men from city guards who needed to be teleported. After Suo Quan paid the 80,000 monarch crystals as teleportation fee, two middle-aged men in gray robes who had been standing beside the city guards came forward and said something to Suo Quan. Suo Quan's facial expression changed when he heard this, but in the end, he had no choice but to agree. Turning around, Suo Quan said in a deep voice, "These two are the guest elders of the Lei clan of West Star City. Due to some messy matters, we need everyone to cooperate with us." Suo Quan's tone was also very unfriendly. Anyone could hear the anger in his voice. When the two middle-aged men heard this, they were also burning with anger. However, their strength was only at the second monarch spirit, and they were fighting seriously around the transportation array. Therefore, the two of them could only look at Suo Quan hatefully. After that, each of them held a transparent bead in their hands and swept it across the crowd. Lei clan. When Xiao Yan heard that these two men were from the Lei clan in West Star City, he couldn't help but feel surprised. His eyes sparkled, and he couldn't figure out why the people from the Lei clan were waiting here. Could it be Lei Te? While Xiao Yan was feeling puzzled, the gray-clothed middle-aged man had already passed by Xiao Yan with the shadow pearl in his hand. When he saw the middle-aged man behind him, Xiao Yan frowned. Could it be that he was being paranoid? These watchdogs are relying on the Lei clan to back them up. They are trying to use the Lei clan to intimidate us. Zhou Yuan, who was at the front, turned around and sneered. They think they are worth some weight, but among the upper echelons of the Lei family, they are nothing. It seems like Brother Zhou also held a high position in the lower realm. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice. Zhou Yuan could not help but feel proud when he heard this and said, "I am not boasting. I am very famous in our continent. That sect of ours was about to fall, and in the end, I was the one who turned the tide and supported it to the throne of the number one sect in our continent." He sighed. Zhou Yuan smiled helplessly. But, saying these things in front of Mr. Xiao doesn't give you any sense of accomplishment. The one who can become a fighting monarch isn't a proud son of heaven in the lower realm. Just as Xiao Yan was laughing and not saying anything, Zhou Yuan glanced at the two men who had put away the shadow pearl and returned to the transportation array. He said in a low voice, "I heard that the Lei clan has been offering a high price for the legendary monarch flames and the whereabouts of the 3,000 lightning monarch flames. I guess this time, they are only doing this for the 3,000 lightning monarch flames." Bang! Zhou Yuan's words resounded in Xiaoyan's mind like a clap of thunder. Xiaoyan's expression changed slightly, and then returned to normal. "I finally understand why that old bastard Rek gave in the martial arena. It turns out that he found my 3,000 lightning monarch flames and then asked Lei Te to come here and report to me. It really is like this." The group slowly walked into the transportation array. Xiao Yan coldly looked at the two gray-robed middle-aged men. Then, he raised his head and looked at the array that had already begun to slowly operate. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He then remembered why Lei Te wasn't here. It would be more convenient for him to identify him. "I'm getting more and more confused," Xiao Yan softly muttered. Suddenly, he felt a flash in front of his eyes. Immediately, an endless void appeared in front of his eyes. Boundless pressure came one after another. Before Xiao Yan could react, the scene in front of him flashed. A strong light shot out and forced Xiao Yan to close his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, the scenery in front of him had completely changed. Looking at the unfamiliar surroundings and listening to the noisy human language, Xiao Yan let out a sigh of relief. Is this Wuning Prefecture? Alright, let's go to Azure Mountain City to recuperate. Suo Quan, who appeared at the same time, coughed lightly and gave the order. The motorcade then headed in the direction of Green Mountain City. Less than an hour after Xiao Yan and the others left, another strong light flashed from the transportation array. After that, nearly 20 people appeared. The middle-aged man at the front was tall and thin. He looked at the disappearing motorcade with a pair of gloomy eyes. He said softly, "They should have gone to Qingshan City to rest first. If that's the case, let's go rest too. When they leave Qingshan City, we can make our move now. Those 3 million monarch crystals and 14 spirit weapons. It really makes me envious." Everyone behind him nodded their heads. After that, they followed the middle-aged man and rushed in the direction of Green Mountain City. After the middle-aged man and the others left for a short while, the transportation array once again flashed with a strong light. When the person in charge of this place saw the group of people, he was immediately shocked. He hurriedly stepped forward and said respectfully, "I am Xu Zheng, the leader of the city guards of Green Mountain City. Greetings, the city lord of West Star City and all the lords." The city lord of West Star City, who was wearing a purple brocade robe and had a head full of silver hair, smiled and said, "Commander Xu, you are too polite. I have come to Wuning Prefecture to discuss an important matter with the city lord of Cloud Rock City. I will not disturb the city lord of Green Mountain City." As he spoke, a bright light flashed in Wu Zixin's hand, and an axe-shaped spirit weapon appeared in his hand. "Take this mighty spiritual axe as a meeting gift. I have come this time to hide from the princess of West Star County. I have left my post without permission. Commander Xu, you must keep this a secret for me," Wu Zixin said with a kind smile. That's right, City Lord, you are worrying too much. I will not leak any information." Xu Zheng received the giant spiritual axe in a flattered manner and said solemnly, "All right, there are too many people here. I won't stay any longer." After saying that, Wu Zixin waved his hand and left with the 7 or 8 people behind him. Seeing Wu Zixin and the others leave, Xu Zheng kept the mighty miracle axe into his storage ring. His eyes were filled with gratitude. What a good city lord. After leaving the transportation array, Wu Zixin said to the people behind him in a cold voice, "All right, according to the original plan, Yanchong and I will stay with the Union City Lord for 2 days. Li Hong, bring the others and follow Suo Quan. Wait for me. This time, we must obtain that thing." As he spoke, the amiable expression on Wu Zixin's face had long disappeared, replaced by endless ferociousness and greed. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.